Good morning, everyone. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Corey Dyson. I am a artist and soon to be recovering psychiatrist, or that's my goal is to become a recovering psychiatrist. And as an artist, I've been on this art journey, and one of the things that I do exceedingly well, better than anyone else, is that I make simple things complicated. And it's taking me a long time to figure out how to undo that and how to really simplify things. I have wasted more money on art supplies than what you're going to be spending on the minimalist. I have wasted more money than I cared to admit on it. And it's taken me years and years to figure out I never needed all of that. I need a few things, basic things. And so I wanted to share that with you that if you are just starting out as a artist or you're wanting to become an artist or you want to but just don't know where to go start and it's daunting and you go to the art supply stores either in person or online, like Cheap Joe's art or Jerry's Artorama or Dick Blick, and you're looking at this and it's overwhelming. Where do I start? What do I get? What do I really have to get started painting? I've got you covered here because I've got it simplified. So let's start with a few basic tools that can get you started. And if you're going to paint, you really need a brush. And I have many brushes over in my studio. Um, I have brought a small percentage, just three brushes here of what I have in my studio. Now I have three different brands. And I'll tell you that my favorite is the Robert Simmons, and the read out of these three that I brought here. And Robert Simmons is one of my two favorite brands. This one with the green end, and it's called the Signet. This and the truckle brush are my two favorites. This is a little bit cheaper, but this brush lasts a long time. So I'm really happy with this, that these bristles last a long time, and I'm really pleased with this. This is a size 8 filbert. This is a size 8 filbert. I would recommend getting a 468 or a 248 in terms of sizes of a filbert. So this really is the biggest size that you really need. Another filbert is made by the Rosemary Company. And this is their ivory filbert. This is also hog bristles. I do recommend getting in investing in the hog bristle brushes. The rosemary brushes are more expensive. I don't think that they really last quite as long, so I haven't been as happy with them. And because I spent more money on the rosemary brush than I did on the Robert Simmons brush, I wanted to be happier with the more expensive brush than with the cheaper brush, and I really wasn't. So this one is still a winner for me. The Signet, Robert Simmons. Okay, this is another brush that is also a hog bristle. And this is the Escoda Classico. Escoda Classico. This is a 16, but if you look at it, it's about the same size as the 8 in the Robert Simmons. So they're their sizing is a little bit different. This is more of a flat. I've kind of used the corner off of it, but you've got a flat top and straight sides. This is a used one. This one also does not last as long as the Robert Simmons. The good thing about it is that it has a nice taper here, and it's easy for you to hold the brush and to go use it. It has a nice weight to it. But I'm more interested in the bristles here, and I am happiest with the Robert Simmons Signet. And 248 would be a wonderful set of brushes for you to go and get in filbert only. And you would be able to make a lot of brush strokes with that. Now, you saw me hold it, and this is how you want to hold the brush. So what you want to do is you want to put it here on your thumb and hold it out to the end of it, and just set it on your ring finger, or your middle finger. You want to set it on your middle finger, and then your index finger, just set it on top of it, so that you've got it like this, and you can move it around in a lot of different ways. This is the main way to go hold the brush. Another way to hold it is just lightly grasping it here at the top, and you can hold it and brush it like this. Okay. Okay. All right. Brushes. You only need 3. You also need a palette knife, and I thought I brought, did I bring only one? Thought I brought 2. Well, all you really need to see is one. This one is the RGM. This is the size 40-45. I've had this one for years. And this is my favorite one for whatever reason. I'm not really entirely sure why it's become my favorite, but I use it all the time. So the big thing that I like is, you want to get one, I like this, okay, because it keeps your hands up off of the palette and off of the painting when you want to go put some paint on the the panel. Makes it easier to go and do that. And I like the diamond shape. Okay. So the brand name does not matter. In my opinion, this here matters the most. And if you want to invest in getting a one that has a solid piece that goes all the way through the handle, that would be best. But it is still you just really need one. Okay, this is a drawing tool. It's called Prospect. It's made out of plastic. You can see mine is well used. And what you do is, this helps as far as drawing goes. So you would measure something like in a still life that you have. You want to hold it out to you want to hold it out where you've got it sitting out there, and you want to put this where you're measuring something. And then if you want to make it bigger on your panel, then you flip it over on your panel and you make it bigger. The opposite, if you have something bigger, you can flip it over and then make it smaller on your panel. But it really does help as far as figuring out how to go and draw something. For instance, the hand, let's go and look at that. So that's about the width of my hand. Okay, so how many widths tall is my hand? Well, that's 2, and maybe about a half, maybe a quarter. And so that's one thing that can give, when you're trying to draw perspective, it tricks your eye, especially the ellipses. So you're looking at a plate that is perfectly round, but when you're looking down on it, it becomes an ellipse. and getting that right is important. So this is there's some people who say, no, you don't really even need this, but I found this to be a very useful tool as I was learning how to draw and learning how to paint, to help my brain to see what was really on the paper, because my eyes kept tricking me. That really helped me. I rarely ever use this now. What I mainly use this for is to get a flat line. So if I'm going to have a table edge, I'm really bad about having my table edges be crooked or be kind of off. So I just gone ahead and draw my table edge using this. So you can see I've got a lot of paint here, from doing that. And that's about all that I use this now for, but I did use it a lot when I was learning how to paint. Another tool that is handy, this is not a necessary tool, but I have found it to be quite handy. And this is called a wipeout tool. And Treckle sometimes will be giving you one of these for free. It has two different ends onto it. One end you can wipe paint off. The other end, I love writing my name in the paint. So when I want to sign it, I just sign it there. It's very easy to go do that. But this is really handy for if you want to wipe off just one small part of the painting instead of wiping the whole thing off, and then you just repaint that one area. So this is a handy tool. It's almost like a little eraser. Another thing that I would say is a must have is a color wheel. Now I have a few here. One of them is a pocket color wheel, and it also has values. Let me see here. We've got values going here and then values coming here, as well as colors, and we have it on here as well. So one of the things that you can do is you can pick out a color scheme, and so you can look at here, and with yellow as your main color, you can have a triad here where you can have red and blue, or you can do a split complementary where you have blue violet and red violet with yellow here. And then they also have the complementary, which would be here, purple and yellow. And then they also have two tetrads of how to combine colors in a harmonious way. And then when we look here, we can look at what happens when we add, oh, here it is. Okay. So the same colors are here on this side as they are on the other side. So this is the color of blue if we add red to it. And then if we add yellow to the blue violet, and then if we adding blue to the violet, and then adding white to the red violet, and then adding black to red. And then we can see over here, we can see these different values over here, and how we go from light and everything all the way through. That we get these versions of the color. Let me see here. It's a shadow, a tone, and a tint. So shadow, tone, and then tint. And we can also look at the value on the other side. So this is a really helpful one. I think this is one I probably use the most when trying to come up with a color scheme. I think this was not too expensive. And then this is a little bit different one. I have actually painted on this, so you can see that there are extra colors. These are colors that I have added. of directly from the paint tube to uh, to try to see where my paint tube colors fit. I'm having a hard time with this. And just to see where my colors fit all the way around. And you can move this one, and instead of having the other colors, you've got two discord colors and then a complementary color. I don't really use this one quite as much. Okay. Another handy thing that is not terribly expensive, and I think is really necessary, is a mirror. Now, what would you use a mirror for? Well, you hold it up here and you look up into it, and then you can see upside down and reverse the painting. And this allows your brain to get a fresh look at what you are painting. This helps to catch things like the compositional problems, the lopsided vases, and it just helps with you being able to see errors in the painting. So this is a good habit to be getting into. And this, I got this from Amazon, and I think it was the cheapest pocket mirror that I could find. I keep this on my easel. Okay, now as far as paints go, one of the things that you are going to hear with watching other videos is that the reason why Rembrandt could paint such magical things is and such amazing things is because he had a special medium. That was the only reason why he could do that. He used special mediums, and that's how he was able to paint such amazing things. This is not true. Rembrandt was just that amazing. He used paint. He invented ways to go and use paint. And he was just a genius as far as painting goes. He did not have a special medium that allowed him to paint so amazingly. So don't go on this endless search to find the special medium that is going to make you into a Rembrandt or is going to make your paintings look amazing. Don't do it. Trust me, it is not worth it. You just need to use or to find one medium that is a all-purpose medium. What most people need with their paints is sometimes to soften their paints up, to make it more malleable, to make it easier to go and paint. Sometimes you need that. When I'm using the Rublev colors, this is one of the Rublev colors. It's cadmium yellow deep, and this is from their modern color series. So when I'm using this brand of paint, I will especially towards the end, the paint will get stiffer and I will need to soften it up. So you can use linseed oil, which is kind of a bit of a mess because it's liquidy and it moves all over on your palette and everything. But what I found is this solvent-free gel called Oleo Gel, also made by Rublev, is just as handier than a pocket on a shirt. This is made from linseed oil and silica. Silica is what turns into glass, or what we use as the ingredient to make glass. So it is a gel. It's a light yellow gel color, but it goes on translucent. And this helps you as far as being able to make some of your paints more malleable. This is a little bit of this goes a long way. So a tube like this is going to last you a good long time. Not all paints need this. Michael Harding paints. He makes a excellent paint color. This is cadmium yellow lemon. I'm a big fan of his colors. They're a little bit more expensive, but one of the things about his is that his paints are buttery as soon as they come out of the tube, and they are consistent across his whole paint line. So every tube of paint is going to feel the same. It's going to have the same buttery quality, and that's going to make it easy to go and use. These are artist quality paints. Though, so if you're just starting off, you might want to use Winton or use student grade paints. But as you move more into it, you might want to look into the Michael Harding. I use these paints mostly for plein air painting, and that's because things are moving really fast. The light is always changing, and I'm trying to capture things quickly. And so I've simplified my plein air palette. And one of the things I did was I started using Michael Harding paints, and they really do help. The disadvantage of every paint having the same texture is that every single one of these pigments are different, and they actually need a different pigment to linseed oil ratio that should be optimized for that individual pigment. And sometimes the pigments need to be ground coarser, sometimes they need to be ground finer. And so Michael Harding doesn't pay attention to that science of it. What he's doing is he's creating a very consistent line that makes it easier for artists to go and use. And that's why I love it for plein air painting. When I'm in the studio, though, I prefer Rublev, and what they do is they focus on what is best for each individual pigment, and they grind each individual pigment um, appropriate to what is needed for that pigment, and they put the right amount of oil for that to make sure that that pigment has the best longevity in a paint film. So with that, this is what I prefer in the studio. But as I'm painting, each different pigment, each different tube of paint is going to feel a little bit different as we get closer to the bottom of the tube. They're going to be a little bit drier out, a little bit harder to come out of the tube, and so that's where the oleo gel comes in. Another good brand that I also use is Gamblin. I use this for a couple of colors, not a whole lot, but I use this for just a few colors, and this is a good one, a good solid brand that is excellent to go and start with. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about brands. Now let's talk about colors. You really don't need a whole lot of colors to go and get started. You do need a white, and if you're beginning, I would recommend using titanium white. And you need one blue. One blue that you could choose to use is black or ivory black. And this is a really cool type of blue. There was an artist called Zorn, and his palette is called the Zorn palette, and he used black, a red, I think it was Venetian red, and he used a yellow, which I think was yellow ochre, and he used black as his blue, and he used white. So that would be, or something similar to that. A black, a red, a yellow, and a white would be an excellent first palette to go and start with. And the black would be used as a blue. So if you were painting the sky, you would paint it with a little bit of black and mostly white. So that would be one that you could consider starting with. Another one would be choosing a blue, and I think a really friendly blue to start off with is ultra marine blue. That would be a great one to go start with. And then choose a red. You could choose anything from Venetian red, a red hue, cadmium red light. I would, or even a alizarin crimson, but I would stick around, choose one of the reds, and then choose a yellow. You could use a yellow hue or yellow lake, or a cadmium yellow, and then choose a white. That would be a really good first one to be starting with. Now, if you want to expand that a little bit, you could choose a kind of a warm yellow, which would be the cadmium yellow deep would be example of a warm yellow. And then you could choose a cool yellow, which would be a cadmium yellow lemon or just a lemon yellow color. You could choose a warm red, which would be the cadmium red light, and a cool red, such as alizarin crimson, or a I also have quinacridone rose, which is that's the name of that Michael Harding gave it. And then you could also have a blue. You could have two blues. A warm blue would be ultramarine blue, and then the cool blue would be black, and then of course white. And if you had that type of a palette, that would be another really good palette to go and have. Then if you wanted to add what are convenience colors, which would be a yellow ochre, burnt sienna, raw umber, burnt umber, those are convenience colors. So if you wanted to add those to make it just easier instead of having to go and mix those each time. Um, so that is the different thoughts on that. But don't go buy a new color for every painting. Don't buy a special paint for each of these paintings. The one of the reasons why I really love trying to find the color harmony is because that is what is more important in your paintings than anything else. It's more important that you achieve color harmony than it is that you have painted the exact precise color that you are seeing. It's more important that we have color harmony. And by having a limited palette, that actually is going to help you to get that better than anything else. And so what you're going to sacrifice is that the individual colors are not going to be precise, but the overall feeling of the painting is going to be a harmonious painting, and that's going to look better. So when you are thinking about your palette, think about a limited palette, buy those colors as cheaply as possible. Hues are a really good way to go and start off with. Michael Harding has lots of hues of all the colors that I've said. So if you wanted to go do that, his paints in terms of hues are really affordable. Gamblin is also another one. To go and look into as far as affordable artist quality paints. Another one is Trek. I think Dick Blick bought them out. So I think they're only on Dick Blick, and you can buy artist quality paints there also at very reasonable prices. That's Utrecht, Utrecht. So getting a limited palette, and then instead of buying new paints, new special colors, you see an artist on YouTube, oh, they swear by this green gold. No, you don't need that. You don't need any of these other special colors. Just replace the colors that you have said, okay, this is my palette just as you need it. Replace those colors. That's what I'm doing now, years and years into the whole process. And I have all these other paints that I bought that I'm not even using now. And you really do not need it. So don't be taken in by these new colors. I love Michael Harding paints, but I've been taken in by Michael Harding's new paints many a times. One of them is green gold. Where does it sit in my drawer. I hardly ever use it. So it's just find colors, find a limited palette and stick with that. And you need to stick with that palette, especially if you're a beginner artist. You really need to stick with that one palette for at least a year, because you got to learn how to mix. I can't teach you how to mix. No one can really teach you how to mix colors. It comes from experience. So the more limited palette that you have, a red, a blue, a yellow, and a white is the limitest palette. The more that you do, that you paint, and the more that you mix, the more you're going to learn. And it's just going to take time mixing paint to learn how to go do that. So if you want to learn how to paint, learn how to mix, just have 4 paint tubes and just replace those and do that for at least a year. If you do that for a year, then you can start adding in extra colors to that. Let's say having 2 yellows, 2 reds, two blues, and then maybe adding in some of the convenience colors. That will save you untold amounts of money. That right there will save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Okay, so going on, what do you really need? Here's one thing that you don't really absolutely need, but I find it to be a convenience thing. Makeup remover, um, towelettes, ultra soft cleansing. These take the paint off your hands, and it makes it easier than to clean up in the studio and then go wash your hands later. These are amazing. Now, I've used these. I've used the Maker's Mark brand from Sam's. You can use any brand, but this is these makeup remover towelettes are amazing. Okay, last. Okay, so let's get a good look at this. What I've done here, see where you can see this, is I've drawn lines, right, all through here. And I've got little rectangles all the way through. You can see I've painted some of these. This is, I think, a 16 by 20. But this is a great way for you to practice painting. Okay, this is a great way for you to go do that. It's also time saving and it's money saving. So on this 16 by 20, I have 16 of these uh little panels on here. And one of the most important things that you need in terms of painting is brush mileage, in that you need to paint a lot of paintings to learn how to paint. By doing this, you're going to get that experience cheaper and faster than if you were to buy panels and do it on a individual basis. So for the price of one panel, you have 16 different little paintings. So what I would say is, if you wanted to maximize your time, is that you could do painting on those and do little studies of still lifes, of going out taking pictures of landscape, doing landscape paintings, and doing this over and over again. This is going to be one of the best ways to help you as far as learning how to paint. So that is what I would make the recommendation of, if you were going to need to start learning how to paint. You will need a easel. I started off with a really simple easel. You can start off with a table easel and put it on your table. I started in a corner of my dining room. I'm now in one of the spare rooms. You could take a closet and turn the closet into a mini little area. Lot of different options there about how to create a small area for you to go and paint. You know, you could put a throw cloth down on your table, set up a tabletop easel. Those are inexpensive at Hobby Lobby, Michaels, and get your paint tubes and everything. um and that would be a really good way to go and get started and get one of these larger panels. You could even get like a 12 by 16 or a 9 by 12, and draw the the smaller sizes in there. um and just getting started. uh Okay. And now you're going to say, all right, great. I've painted. I now have brushes that are dirty. How do I clean them? Well, let me tell you what I do is I got one of these. This is a brush cleaner. I've had this one for years. And most artists are going to put what they call terps or turpentine in here. If this were turpentine, would not recommend you smelling that. Smells like paint. Really is messy and yucky in there. But it does a good job of getting the most of the oil out of the brush. So what do I have in there that I can put my little nose over it and smell it without danger of dying from it? Walnut oil. Now, what you do have to look at is when you're getting the walnut oils, make sure this is walnut oil only. If it has vitamin E, do not get it. But you want it to be just walnut oil only. This is one of the brands. There's also one made in a tin can that I also use, but this is one of the brands that is walnut oil only. Walnut oil is a a binder like linseed oil. It is an oil that you can paint with. There are some paint companies that use the walnut oil. Rublev has two lead whites. Number one that's made with linseed oil, and number two that's made with walnut oil. This is a what we call a drying oil. So if you get a little bit of this oil in your paint, it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to interfere with your paint film. And what I do is I rinse out the brushes. I actually have two of these. Rinse out the brushes, and then I store them when they're kind of like this. I store them where this is kept in oil, and then when I'm ready to use the brush, I just wipe it off. There will still be a little bit of linseed oil left in the brushes, but it's a small amount. And that small amount is not going to impact your painting. It's still going to be a oil binder, and having a small amount of walnut oil mixed with linseed oil is going to be perfectly fine. You cannot do this with anything else. The turpentines, um, the um, the low odor mineral spirits, all of those damage the bristles on your brush. So if you do use that, need to make sure you use it in a well ventilated area, and make sure that you wash your brushes with soap and water immediately after. I don't really like washing brushes. It takes a long time, it's a whole process, and so I do them infrequently, and that's why I have my process the way that I have it. But with using the walnut oil, you can rinse it out with the walnut oil. You'll still need to go wash the brushes, with water and soap, but it'll make that part of the cleanup a whole lot easier if you have washed it with or rinsed it off with the walnut oil first. It'll get a lot of the pigment out. And then the soap that I do make the recommendation of you using is Murphy's Oil Wood Soap. I do make that as a strong recommendation to use. I would not. I would recommend against very, very strongly. And I would say do not use Masters Oil Soap. The reason being is that the Masters Oil Soap has grit in it. And that grit is going to take off the little flags on the hair. So a wild boar or even just a hog's bristle brush, each little hair has little flags on it. And when you put all of these bristles together and they're facing each other, they have all these little flags on it. It's the way that the bristles are curved and all the flags on there that allow these brushes to pick up and to hold a lot of paint. It's one of the reasons why I love using this. It's because it can hold a lot of paint. The Masters brush soap, that grit in there tears off all those little flags that are all in here, the microscopic flags. It tears all of that off, and it makes it where these brushes do not hold the same amount of paint. So do not ruin your brushes with Masters soap. Use the Murphy's Oil Wood Soap. It's soft and gentle, and it comes out easy. Okay, if you have any questions about this video, or if you want me to cover future topics, please do put that down in the comments below. If you'll check out the description, I've created a guide for you to help you get started. And so a lot of these supplies that I have mentioned, I have put into a guide for you with links. So it'll make it easier for you to go and find this. And I've also found on Pinterest the Rembrandt box that I have, that where I store my brushes in. And so I don't wash my brushes. I just store it in walnut oil, kind of down at an angle. And that makes me for cleaning up is so much simpler, and then getting started is also easier. And I found one of those in Pinterest, and I put a link to that. I'm hoping that that's where you can go and purchase one. If not, you at least know what it looks like if you want to go make it yourself. So that's in a guide, and I have the link in the description down below, and you can go and grab that. That is absolutely free. And I look forward to visiting with you more and helping you more, because like I said, I made things way too complicated for myself when I was first starting out, and I don't want that to happen to you. I want to make it as easy for you as possible. So finally figured out it's a lot simpler than what I first thought, and I'm hoping to share more of these tips with you later. So I'll see you in the next video.